Jess, can you hear me? You're on mute. We can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me, Brett. Whatever you did just shows that it's not on mute, but it's still on mute. Now it's showing you as connected to audio, Jess, but it shows it on mute. There it is. You got it.
All right, it didn't take us as long as time as last time,
Got it.
but eventually I got their signs. Thank you for your patience. Oh, there are leisure.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Oh, so we're recording right now, we're good to go?
We're recording and everyone can hear us.
All right, for those, everybody online, thank you for your patience while we work through this technical difficulties, but we're in good shape, yes. So I'm gonna start with roll call. I'm gonna start with zoning commission members that are here in the room right now. Starting over here with our coordinator,
Jessica Powell.
Joshua Dykstra, Lisa Perez, Jim Kerr, Dave Saw, Pat Ochoa, Brett Olberg, Steve McCarron, and Kevin and Sherry step out of the room for just a moment. He's here. Any commission members that are here online?
Dan Wall is here.
Dan Wall, hi Dan, how you doing, man?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. And I don't believe Jess is here. Jess, you're not online, right?
I don't see him.
No, great, thanks. So proceeding of alternates, Josh Message for Jess Whitson. Thank you. All right, moving on with the agenda, we start with public hearings. Recess public hearings, none. New public hearings, none. Future public hearings, none. Regular meeting business, amendments to the agenda. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to, Mr. Chairman, on the application for boardwalk, the applicant is here, they discussed the issues that I was talking to Steve. They're prepared to present on those issues. And they would like to have the opportunity to present on those issues. If the commission understands if they want additional information, you can ask for that as well. If they're here to present, I think, in light of that, rather than the table, it would be appropriate at least to hear that out. And then if the commission wishes to entertain something that they can't, so. Well, send me out all. For the record, Attorney Chin.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for identifying
Very
that. Eventually, we have no.
Okay. We'll leave that as is.
Thank you.
Audience of citizens, is there anybody, I'll start here in the room first. Is there anybody in the audience of citizens that would like to bring up something that is not mentioned on tonight's agenda? That's one more time. The audience of citizens here present in the room, are there any items that you would like to bring up that are not listed on the agenda? If hearing none, I'll move over to the virtual side. Are there any folks online in the audience of citizens that would like to bring up something that is not listed on tonight's agenda? One more time for the audience of citizens that are online. Is there anybody present that would like to bring up something that is not listed on tonight's agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on. Correspondence. We have correspondence. Old business, matters upon which a public hearing is held. None. Old business, other matters? None. New business, schedule a public hearing. We have a proposed moratorium on retail sales, manufacturing, cultivation of marijuana cannabis, with the suggested public hearing in September. I'd like to give you also a little bit of insight in terms of where this came about, because it's been some ongoing conversations. We know it's been approved in the state. It's not a whole lot of inside, we're still running towards it for a while. I've actually had a couple of conversations with the first selectman who approached us, also wanting to have a better idea in terms of what's happening. And the thought process was, I'm actually also watching the activity in the surrounding communities, is that proposing a moratorium for 1 year to let us understand how these regulations are going to work, how they're going to come out. We're not taking a stance now, positive or either way. It's just more along the lines of we need to prepare and decide what's going to be the best interest of Oxford, which we understand what once it's finally resolved. That's not meant to say that it could, I think, council, we could actually shorten this if we wanted to shorten this, or we could extend it if we needed to extend it again. You have to find,
Well, 6 months from now, if we get an idea what we want to do, then end the moratorium, then it start with some regulations. We have processes at that point, text the regulations. I think it might be a year out, still not known, states still. And I think that if we, let's say we're going to extend the moratorium, it's a creature of statute that the moratorium authority applies in the hands of the planning and zoning commission in regards to zoning regulations. It's a common law principle there. State or company versus planning and zoning west. As long as it's rationally right, yeah. I didn't do that job. But the authority clearly, like, it's nowhere else. Okay, legislative body in the town doesn't have the authority. Call or it's within the authority of the planning and zoning commission. Correct. Broadly defined that very much.
and the reason why we're considering the date that's a little bit further out is because of actual notification, notification requirements that we have to do with surrounding communities as well. So that's what we're doing this. So there's been some background and checking this. So I'll open it up right now before we I'll take the motion for this, but I wanted to just know if anybody had any thoughts, in terms of what this is.
Well, we just need to schedule a public hearing. Probably should.
So that's okay.
I think we just discussed broadly, what we set the public hearing for. I just had a concern because the statute that approved the sale of recreational marijuana already has a moratorium built into it of a year. So I'm thinking that if we follow that year, that might put us in a bad position. We might want to go 18 months now, so we don't have to revisit it if there's a need to shorten it. Now's the time we have some kind of a luxury because, the regulations are still, or the statute's still, a year off before anybody can even think of making an application, so. Rather than have to address it, once we another public hearing to amend the moratorium or create a new moratorium, I think it makes sense to go a little further with the ability to shorten it if need be. So that's just my take, maybe go for 18 months.
That makes sense under all circumstances. And, you could always shorten it, you could always extend it. And hearing comments at the public hearing, which they say, oh, we don't want to work there. So, I think maybe there will be to amend it that way. I won't think of 1 year because it seems like approving the national state paper. Cancel.
Yes, 1 year was actually the request from the selectmen also.
You can change it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, no, absolutely. No, I agree, just one, that was where the original came from.
I called up the state, and they were telling me, State Josh, Lamont's office said that we're not gonna lose any funding one way or another. We know. So, you reckon it's side here. And it tells you about the taxes that Chuck Thompson charged, where it's purchasing, that's the resident schools. The people that cross the town, pretty far forward. Our generation, that's what
I think those are. Thanks, thank you for gathering. Yeah, I think this all ends up being conversations that come up that works, and based on that, the timing is going to be in the best interest of option. So,
we did it in 2023, and I had the license of it start off with $5,000, and it's good, so much happening.
right. So what are the thoughts on the commission then? Board of Selectmen have requested a year. Commissioner Kerwin proposed 18 months. I was inclined to do 2 years and have the flexibility going to the rate process and maybe 4 months. Could also, work out the event as well too. So I would entertain a motion for either way and go with the commission.
Do we make that decision tonight?
That would be part of the moratorium in terms of, we wouldn't be, that would be part of the moratorium in terms of public.
I thought we were having a public hearing.
Well, the public hearing is to, to discuss the moratorium at the time when we. Exactly.
I'll make a motion for 18 months. I like John's Commissioner Kerwin's suggestion.
Okay, so we have a proposal, I'll second. We have a second also for 18 months. All those in favor for scheduling the public hearing for proposed moratorium on retail sales, manufacturing, cultivation of 18 months for marijuana cannabis with a suggested public hearing date of Tuesday, September 7th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, motion carried unanimously.
So, Mr. Chairman, even though we voted on it, I think it's important to point out, maybe in the documents that go along in the public hearing, to take into Mr. Zabras's point, this is not a decision to say we're not going to be approving it, it's just a decision to hold off making a decision until we get more information. So the public knows that we're not saying never, we're just giving ourselves some time.
Yes.
I do.
Okay, moving on to new business. We have application C 21-092. 101 Main Street Boardwalk, owner and applicant Oxford Town Center, LLC, 220 Main Street Boardwalk, for a site plan. And the applicants are here, you're more than welcome. And just for the, only, what's the best place for?
I've got it right there.
Can I slide this over here?
Yeah, let's see what happens with Dick, because your head's cut off right now.
All right, I'll do this. These are really for my,
So that's why I'd rather have.
okay.
Let's see how that works.
Well, thank you, Chairman and Commission. Tom Haynes of Oxford Town Center offices at Quarry Walk in Oxford on Main Street. We're here for site plan modification because we've actually just taken one of the buildings and changed the orientation back to what it was originally approved at in 2014. Because we have a tenant that now needs this orientation and just a tad bit bigger of a building. And we've modified the site plan to actually mimic what you had originally approved in 2014. And we've increased no total building size. This building, the coffee shop on the corner here, has gone up to 3,000 square foot. And we've decreased building D, which is adjacent to it, to accommodate the same total square footage between all the buildings. The site plan that you see is something that you have already approved twice with all of the passages and drive-through in the parking lots. It just changes really the orientation of the building. What the big issue for us to do this was that we have a building on the opposite side of the boulevard, which you've already previously approved and it's built and it's going to be, and it's occupied, has a nice patio on the four-way entrance coming in on the boulevard. And what we wanted to do was mimic that because originally the previously approved site plan had a patio, which was more sort of hidden by the drive-through, and what we wanted to do was have that on the corner, and so that is shown on the site plan. So the site plan really does nothing more than sort of tweak a couple things and change where the drive-through hits the building and increases the size of the building by about, I think, about 500 square foot, and decreases the other building D, by 500 square foot.
I'm trying to conceptualize where this actually is. Because, so where is this?
So when you drive in Quarry Walk,
Yep.
you come to the first intersection. The
right.
vacant corner, where we just kind of park all that stuff. That's the start.
So that's the
intersection. That's where we're starting to be. So when you drive in Quarry Walk,
Yep.
the main entrance is where here. So here's 67, you come in, the main entrance, Newtown Savings, we are here. This is that corner here. Always was meant to be a drive-through coffee shop of some sort. We had a couple other tenants. The last tenant was going to be what we call Donut Crazy, which is what you approved. Originally in 2000, I think 16 or 18.
14 originally,
No,
this
no.
was 216.
But this one was 2016. So don't want to confuse you. What we're asking for now is the same orientation of the building you approved in 2014. We came in and asked for a modification in 2016, which is shown here, called Donut Crazy, was going to be on that corner. So we've been waiting to get a tenant to go in there. We now have an independent that's going to put in a coffee shop that wants to maintain the drive-through that you've already approved. But they wanted about a 3,000 square foot building versus like a 2,000 square foot building, because they're going to really serve lunch and try to be more of a full service place. And so we modified that site plan to twist the building. Same orientation, same site plan you approved in 2014.
So when we approve buildings in a large development like this.
Yep.
Do we look at the parking spaces per each building or in total?
So you have approved for our entire project, a shared parking plan. We do not bring in a parking plan for a building. You have an entire parking plan, which is not included in your zoning regulations that you've already approved, because there's so many uses on this 30 acres, and they're shared parking, so we do not dedicate parking at all, and that's not within your regulations for this development. Our parking plan is all shared.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
My comments are going to be through the witness to Brett. So oddly enough, this is a unique site in that this is a conceptual plan that doesn't apply to any other zone except this particular zone. So we approved the conceptual plan, which unfortunately, the last time you were before us, I asked that you submit the conceptual plans and any modifications along with the application so you can see. Because this doesn't have much, you know, it's kind of static. I'd like to see the development. And under the regulations, part of our job in approving this is to make sure that it complies with the conceptual plan. I find it difficult to do that when I don't have the conceptual plan in front of me. So, and that's in accordance with the regulations that were proposed by the.
Provided the overall site. No, not this application. Steve didn't do that.
So, and then within this, because this was a text amendment that was brought forward by the applicant, approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. It was under Jim Carver at the time.
Might have been, yeah.
Yeah, this is. I think,
Yeah.
Yeah. So we approved this conceptual plan, which is unique under our zoning regulations, but the parking aspect of it does not go in accordance with chapter, with section 3. We approved our own parking requirements. That's also within the regulations. So we need to review that too as well, because that sets up, within that conceptual plan, it had provisions for parking, and then it was a little bit more specific. So each phase had its own requirements. That I don't think is in front of us either, that master parking. So we'll need to review that as well.
we have, the last one is from 2016.
So Chairman, I would.
In the parking management plan, each
Parking
phase,
management, that's right.
it's broken down, retail, restaurant, Rose Street, everything. So that, I just think that might be something that, to also address the parking that's been coming up with some of the other town people.
So Chairman, I would sort of help you understand, you've already approved this site plan.
I haven't seen it yet. I still have a couple of it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I just, you know, we did approve this plan, but we also approved the conceptual plan, we modified it. And I'm not criticizing it, I like the project, I don't like how it's presented to us piecemeal. And I complained about this the last time, I said, I'd like to see the conceptual plan, just so it makes sense, that we can see the progression, we can see how each piece fits. If you're not really familiar with the project, you know, if you're looking at this map, which doesn't relate well, unless you're very familiar with it. So that's one of the drawbacks. One of the problems I have with the project, the way I see it, actually, I was driving home, picking my wife's car up today. I had brought it up the last time with respect to the donut shop where you had originally put the garbage and grease trap behind. I don't see any provisions now for garbage. And as I was pulling out today, right across this from the quarry coffee, there's 3 dumpsters that are just sitting there. There's no like shielding or anything. That doesn't seem to comply with the conceptual plan. It's right out in the open neighborhood. As you're driving down, I'll show you on the map. You know,
I'm well aware.
yeah, what do you guys think? I'd like to see that addressed. What do you?
Oh, it's gonna be finished off as according to what you approved. We're just waiting for the fencing to be done.
So you're gonna put fence in front of that?
Yeah, that's what you approved, and that's what we're waiting on, yeah.
How long is that gonna take?
I'm not sure what the schedule is, but it's happening.
I don't see any provisions here for the garbage or the grease trap, especially the coffee shop.
Well, the grease trap is buried, so that's typically not really something you guys have asked us about. Grease traps are all buried, so they're not above ground.
The restaurant garbage,
We are trying to figure out, as we develop the entire site over there on that side of the boulevard, as to what's the best practical use for dumpster locations. As you've seen, we've done a pretty good job throughout the entire community to keep dumpsters hidden. So as
yeah,
we
that's why I
develop,
was so surprised with this, so I wanted to bring it up.
sure,
Like Jim, I like the project, that's
Sure.
good work.
yeah, well, appreciate
That's
that.
kind of stuck in my craw, I see those 3 dumpsters. That's a time.
Yeah, and you approved those to be there, and those are gonna be fenced off. We got a trellis above it. We just have not got the fencing right there where it belongs, but that's scheduled to be done. So, yeah. But back to your point about the concept drawing, you've approved this specific site plan. That was done starting back 7 years ago. Then in 2016, we modified it. And so that was all included and approved within the concept of the plan.
We modified it.
Well, but
That old site plan no longer has effect, now we start from scratch.
no, we're fully approved, and we can go and build the site plan that you approved in 2016.
Wasn't that modified?
In 2016, this is the site plan that exists now, that we can go and build.
Yes, the modified.
We can go and build this. All we did was we turned the building.
I understand.
So what, I'm not sure if that fit. What do because we don't have anything more than this plan right now for this area. Everything is relatively built. I'm not sure what the point is. We turned the building because we wanted.
Back to what it was in 2014.
We wanted the drive-through, so
I
I'm
think
not
it's
sure.
incumbent on us as a commission to make sure that everything complies with the original conceptual plan. The site plan is sufficient with respect to the overall look of the project as it relates to the community, that there's sufficient facilities. Your point about that, it was approved in 2014, so that when it was modified. that
Which is that.
2014,
Which is that.
yeah, you change, so now you can build and change, you don't want to do that, you want to build and change back, which is fine. I don't think that's a big problem, but the last time you were before us, I told you, I wanted to see the conceptual plan, I wanted to see, we need to check parking. I know it's been brought up, there's been complaints about some parking issues. So it's incumbent upon us as a commission to make sure that that master parking plan is followed. Yeah, we don't have it in front of us. I can't review it and see how this approval relates to that master plan. So that's another thing that I think we need to look at.
But you've approved it twice. I'm not changing the parking. You've approved it twice. And I am trying to understand what the issue is here. You've approved this twice. We are changing the orientation of the building.
Which would be the third approval.
It doesn't matter, we're changing the orientation of the building. We are not asking for more parking spaces, we're not changing the traffic flow, we are not changing the overall square footage. We have been in this commission for 7 years on this one section. We finally have a tenant that will go in there. I am very confused as to why the commission is dragging us around when that project has not one complaint over parking. And you're raising parking issues. I have a problem with that. My office is here.
That's
You raise issue of parking, Commissioner. I'm asking you to be specific about a parking complaint. I'm asking, you're raising the issue, I'm asking to please substantiate what you're trying to say is that a shortcoming of the project is.
I don't think that's an appropriate question by an applicant to the commission. I don't have to respond. I can say that there have been issues of the parking there. That doesn't relate, an applicant that comes in, you're asking us to approve the application, all right? I'm not saying we're not going to, we have to do our due diligence. I would like to see the parking plan, whenever a site plan under this section 10, article 10 comes up, we have to approve the application. Whether it's a modification or a straight site plan, it's the same requirement. So we have to do our due diligence. I would like to see the conceptual plan. I'm one member of the commission, the other commissioners might not want to. I would like to see the conceptual plan, and I would like to see the master plan. I know that since the last time you were before us, I have heard issues about parking.
Can you be specific, Commissioner?
Yeah, they're saying that there's problems with the parking.
Can you be specific?
No.
Well, I appreciate it because, well, I do think you do. Because
Okay,
you're-
all right, we're getting
Yeah.
off track. Let's first off, the next comment.
Right, so the only reason I asked my question was because I wasn't on the commission.
Understand.
So I don't understand, like, and I do understand where this was situated. I appreciate you pointing that out to me. So from as far as parking spots, I don't know, I've never seen the parking plan, I don't know if it's the original one. So that was just my question is, from a parking perspective, how is this total development handled compared to how it's?
Understand.
Is it appropriate for the applicant to request answers from the commission, from one commissioner?
I don't think it necessarily is appropriate. I think you have to look at it in terms of, if you had a specific instance that you recall, the applicant, make the parking plan that.
But I think it's a public record, you can look at the records in the planning zone. We've had letters requesting us to look at the parking.
From a building inspector is not an appropriate letter. And I'd ask the attorney to give sort of an understanding of what that means from a regulatory letter. I'd ask you to say, is that the appropriate letter from, is that his jurisdiction?
I can probably answer that. Well, as well, it's not his jurisdiction. Nonetheless, it is a concern that's raised. That puts it in our perspective to address it and say, those concerns, and it's not just the building commission, it's other individuals that have made those, there's several letters. Whether they're.
I'm gonna ask, I am gonna hold it to that. I'm gonna ask for the other letters other than.
I was under the impression that they talked to you about it because it was a matter of public record in the board. But when it came up, we looked at it. And now there's another application for it, so I think we go over it. Make sure that you're in
Commissioner.
A couple points. Building inspector, the fire marshal, they're all agents, they may not have the parking in specific in their authority, but they have an obligation to provide safety information to proper channels. So that obligation has to happen. So, you know, and maybe the radius is not quite set up yet for the fire truck because you know a project is being built out. So those concerns can be raised and referred to the proper people that have to address those. And what it ultimately does, because it's such a large and long kind of project, is end up with a better project. And I think that's your goal and
I appreciate that. And I will say, we met with the fire marshal, and again, he was very clear. He had no instance that he could bring to us that was a parking issue. He was concerned about the future.
Yep, I agree. If you listen to the record, I think most of us said, I've been down there, I don't see a problem with the parking. Someone has raised the issue. We can't just turn our backs and say, forget it, and be able to improve. It's incumbent on us to look at it, whether we say, oh, there's appropriate parking or not. The issue has been raised. I'm down there a lot. I don't see a problem with the parking. That's my personal observation. But once that issue is raised, it's incumbent on us to do our due diligence. That's my part.
And Commissioner, you do have a letter and a memo from our civil engineer who has said that they have done site visits and that the parking plan is working well. I am not sure what we're looking for here. You have that we're ready to address a specific issue. But to sit here and come in here when there are no problems, as Yogi Berra said, nobody comes there anymore because it's just too busy. I don't get it. We have no complaints and we're talking about parking and we're on the other side of the boulevard of a site plan that we've been at here for 7 years.
I can tell from being in town hall, I don't think anyone's trying to give anybody a hard time about parking. Because these come in the phases, other phases at this point, other buildings have changed square footage, been tweaked in other site plans from the beginning. I mean, we have how many down here? So I think that's why they're questioning and they're looking to maybe have a little bit more of the updated square footage of each use and that part. I think that's what's going on. If that makes it any, because there's a lot of stuff down there, so people are just worried about the future, that's all.
I appreciate everybody's about the future. You know.
Your future, huh? Your future.
Yeah, I mean, I clearly understand, but, you know, thank goodness we kind of all keep moving forward down there.
Secretary.
Okay, I was assigned to look at the parking issue at Quarter Walk. I spoke with, our building inspector. And, the take was pretty much anecdotal. You know, he had gotten complaints about the parking. I also spoke with our fire marshal, who's concerned, I guess there was a radius concern to address. Okay, but he was also future concerned, specifically at the green. There's in the overall plan, there's 2 little buildings at the foot of the green. And that they were going to add to the already problematic parking on the green. And I think that's where the focus of the parking issues are. You know, there's, in my opinion, because I'm there almost every day. Okay, there's more than enough parking in the overall project. There may not be enough parking 3 feet from the door of the store. If I can figure that out, I will. But anyway, but I think that probably some conversations with the fire marshal over his future concerns might be in order, not from us, but from.
And we did have it, we had a meeting with Scott. Yeah, after his letter to the commission.
And like I said, my conversation with him was after his letter. So I don't know, you know, what the timelines are. But I think that's everybody's focus on the parking, you know, and how are you going to resolve that? There's a plan. And if you're working the plan, that's what we accept, that's what we approve. I guess I have trouble walking, and I don't have a problem parking. So I don't know exactly, again, nobody's giving me specifics. What little specifics I had was thinking about the turn radius for the fire truck and the emphasis on when those 2 smaller buildings are built at those places. There could be parking issue. Again, that's what that's, you know, that's the takeaway. And that's as far as I've gone with it at this point.
I think as a commission, we have, yes, the parking management plan was approved, I get that. But I also think that we also have a responsibility to make sure in season things are happening, whether it's in the parking management. That's all, and I think it's just a matter of us doing our temperature checks at different things in different ongoing projects like that. And it's not meant to be offensive or invasive or it's more along the lines that it's just, to John's point, we were doing our own due diligence to make sure that every I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and we just want to make sure that things move as smoothly as possible and don't become a problem down the road, so we don't have great letters and stuff like that. So that, I think that's where the process comes in. So and I think, and I've been on the commission now for about 4 years, I've never seen a parking management. And so, yeah, maybe I need to take a look at it as well too, just so I can understand it, so I can probably better address some of the comments that built. So I think that as one of my takes. So that's what that
So,
is.
and I appreciate that, Chairman. And what I want to share with the entire commission, because I look and I see some new members. I never promised and never presented to this commission that shoppers are going to park in front of the door. I want to make sure we're clear. This is a hard concept for Oxford to understand and for Connecticut to understand. This is what's used in the rest of the country. First selectman just walked out. He rang the bell and I answered. He said, I want a green, I want a downtown. We gave that to the town of Oxford. We gave you a parking plan that means people do not park in front of where they shop, work, live, they walk. And if a couple people complain about that, I'm not here to answer to that. Our project is so well known throughout New England for being so successful to meeting the community's needs. And that means people come and they walk on the green, they walk to the shopping, they walk to here, they walk to there. They do not move their car to every location. My parking plan is real simple. We have like 1,300 or 1,700 parking spots. I just came from Quarry Walk. Sitting Duck is super successful. I said to Kathy, tell me about the tenants, because I want to make sure, because trust me, when the door squeaks, when the plumbing leaks, they call us. If there's not parking, we hear this. I'm in here answering to you on anecdotal information with not one single instance of a parking complaint to me or to you as a commission. That project itself and the tenants in there are doing phenomenally well. They're all the little retail shops are doing well. I have pictures where I just came from. Parking plan says the area out behind the daycare is meant for the restaurants at night. It's empty when I came here tonight and the Duck was packed. I just came from the Duck.
No one's asking you to come in and address complaints. This isn't some kind of star chamber. I'm not going to review the master plan as it relates to this. I want our engineer to do it. That's something that we have to do. I think we need this looked over. We approved the parking concept of the master plan for the parking. We approved the conceptual site plan. Everything's in accordance, and this is in accord. I don't see a problem. But when someone comes back and says, hey, I can't park in the lobby of the city of Duck, that planning and zoning commission made a mistake, we can say, no, we did our due diligence. We did what was required. So if any other plans come forward, we don't have to go with, we can address specifically, we did what we were supposed to do, and everything, all the I's were dotted, all the T's were crossed. We're not asking you to respond to allegations. We're asking for the information so we can do our job. And once a concern is raised, just like any other thing, there's not enough shrubs, or there's not enough trees, or the garbage that I saw, the dumpsters, those are concerns that came up between the interim. We have to look at it, and that's our due diligence. It's not like we're asking you to come down and respond to, give us here's the evidence, and I want to hear what your responses. We need to review this application, we need to review and make sure that it's in accordance with what was approved, the conceptual plan, and then we'll be able to vote. At this point, I don't feel.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I just want to say, in my opinion, right, the approval for this coffee shop is separate from the parking issues in the other areas of the project. I'm looking here, it shows what seems to be adequate parking for this shop. I think parking issues over on Green, or if some other building is built and so on, but that has to be separate from
Well, and
that.
that's under the conceptual plan, so the way that we approved and the text amendment that you actually had is not. We approved the conceptual plan, we approved the master parking plan, but each site plan has its own, so we're not addressing parking over on the other side. That doesn't even come up, all this stuff about the corners and that's not in. The only thing that is involved in this site plan, this modification, is these spaces as it relates to the master park, whatever that term is.
Basically, just that
Yeah.
So we're not gonna go into all the parking on the other side of the green,
So here's my issue, here's my concern. We've not changed anything other than we changed the orientation of the building. I am very confused as to how this gets into parking and all other aspects, the dumpsters and all that stuff. How we get into that, I'm very confused. You've already approved this plan twice. That's my sort of, what's
We're
going
here
on?
because you need to approve the third time, right? You need to approve one more time, right?
You want me to just go build it the other way?
Not particularly, no, I could care less, but I mean, just to cut through this because we're going in circles. You need to approve one more time. So,
And that's what you're
My,
asking.
my question, concern, I brought this up, when I first saw the application, you were filed on the agenda, which led to the conversation that we had before the next meeting started, was that everything you was talking about, I couldn't tell anything from this, and that's why, yes, you shed some light on, it, and I appreciate that. I understand now, require approval from 2014, approval for, Going Crazy in 2016, and in my mind, again, prudence, due diligence, I'm rightly described as retentive because I like dotting every I crossing every T. I want to be able to see that the original plan that was approved in 2014 matches what we're putting up here today. And I just want to, and I think the engineer needs to take a look at it. That's not to give you a hard time, it just meant that it's just the right thing to do. I know it's not a popular thing, but that's where I am with it. And that's where my concern was. And, the fact that the council was able to kind of talk with you and hear you. I'm glad they're going to stay 2 weeks and come back on this.
We're at 87.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah, same parking spaces. I mean, this is like, I've been coming in here for 20 years. I'm really, this project doesn't deserve to be treated like this. And I don't know what's going on.
I'm not trying to.
I understand that, but I've been through here for 20 years. And I understand, we can spend a lot of time and a lot of money doing it this way. But at the end of the day, we'll comply and give you what you need. We'll give you what you need. So if somebody wants to let us know what you need,
I'm gonna entertain a motion to send it to the engineer immediately so we can have a decision.
so a project like me has to spend more money on your town engineer to do this, to count the number of parking spots that are on this site plan.
I wasn't concerned with parking places, but like I said, I was more concerned about the fact that from what I have here, I didn't have anything else in front of me to go back and say that this is identical to what was approved in 2014.
With all due respect, Chairman, they're in your file. You know you guys know what you approved, and you have commission members that have been on this project since we started this project. With all due respect.
with all due respect, I don't think we should be approaching this. We have simple site plans for simple structures that take more time than the pace that you want us to approve this. I really don't see what the problem is. Basically, we're asking, we're going to send it by our engineer, have him review it. Basically, they insulate you, and just insulate us if any further complaints come, because we want it done correctly. I've been on the record, I think most of the people here have been on the record. I like the project, I like the work.
I appreciate that.
I don't like the pace, and I've complained about it before. I don't like the pace that's set. The last time we had one of these applications, can you just bring in the conceptual plan so I can see everything? You know our concerns, and now you're asking our, this is the first time it's come up. I brought this up before, but we need to look it over, we need to do our job.
Yes, I understand.
If something as important as this, is a big project, a multi-million-dollar project, and it affects the town as well, you're not gonna get it approved in 25 minutes. I don't know, if that's what you expect, I think you're sad in the state. And it's, you know, we need to do a little bit of due diligence ourselves.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. We haven't built enough out there to prove where we're at. I understand.
Very disheartening,
Yeah.
very disheartening.
No, it's going on.
I've spoken to both of the writers of the letters. No, I have to. Please, if I can be recognized. I spoke to both the building official and the fire marshal and asked them, what are your issues? We met with the fire marshal, he went over specifics. We addressed 2 items that he had on Center Rock Green. The building inspector told me he wouldn't tell me what his source of complaints was, that it was a tenant. And I told him point blank, and excuse my expression, I said, that's bullshit. I said, if a tenant has an issue, they know how to reach us. We'd be more than glad to address what their issue is. And if a tenant is going to the building inspector and not us, that's just belly aching. And for the building inspector not to tell us who the tenant is, that's just wrong. I've had zero complaints from tenants. Building inspector told me it was his personal opinion that there was a parking issue.
We're not anything, I hear you loud and clear, I really.
I'm not certain you do.
I'm not sure you do.
I'm not certain you do.
I'm trying to stay on focus in terms of what.
We provided a memo from our engineer that the parking isn't within regulation. We provided that to staff.
I didn't get that.
Okay. I most definitely provided it to you.
I didn't get it.
I sent it electronically to you. You have it.
Make a motion. We'll entertain the motion to send this to the engineer to do the site plans and it comes out. So we can make a decision. We have a motion on the floor. Yes. Motion, Commissioner Kerwin, read the second.
Second.
The second, Commissioner Arnold. All those in favor of approving this, sending the site plans to the site to the town engineer for approval, just want to say aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Wait, okay. we're gonna
Yeah,
do a
go
roll
back.
call for this. Okay, so you oppose the motion to send this to the town engineer to review the application. Josh says no. Keith says. Aye. John says aye. No.
No. I second.
No. Dan Wall?
Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't hear everything, Dave. If you could just go over the motion one more time.
The motion is to send the site plan that was presented tonight on the agenda for application Z-21-092 for review by the town engineer to ensure that to ensure everything is in order because it's modifying an existing site plan, even though this one was approved in 2014. It was abandoned for the modification in 2016. And now that we want to go back to the original, we want to make sure that the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, that this matches the one from 2014.
Okay, aye.
And as Chairman votes aye. The noes have it. 4-3.
Can I make a suggestion? Right. But when the officers pull out all the information, we should read it.
I think you have 2 applications pending in front of the commission, a site plan and the rebuilding use permit. If someone should make a motion on the site plan, it's a motion to approve. And I think the chair will be entertain a motion for the site plan and for the reuse, given on the with subject matter road for, so I think that would be an appropriate.
So the reason I seconded it, of course,
We're coming back to motion or? Oh, actually, you don't have to.
No.
So far.
I would suggest someone entertain a motion to approve the site plan.
Sure, and approve the site plan, are we talking for, is it 2192 or the drive through for 2196? So that is basically the existing one from 2014.
I think it's what's on your agenda, Z 21-092 and Z 21-096 would be entertained. I would do those as separate motions, just because that's how they're set up on the agenda. So I do the site plan first, and then I have to.
So then I would entertain a motion for Z 21-092 to approve the site plan as presented. So
second. I'd like to make an add question.
Pat, hold on, Pat, motion.
Discussion. I'll second with the discussion. I'll amend my second with the discussion.
Go ahead.
So the only difference is that this building was rotated essentially 90 degrees, and it matches what we originally approved in 2014.
I don't know. It's not proposed. That's
Right.
If you look at your engineering specs.
No, I'm asking the
You
question.
voted against something that's going to be, make sure.
I'm asking the question though, to my fellow commissioners who were on this commission prior to me.
I would not have that kind of facility, remember, all the number of parking spaces, the orientation, plot levels, from 2014, so. Generally, yes, but the specifics, no. And at the time, I don't even know if we did review the parking management. Could go look at it. I think that's appropriate.
I don't think the commission should determine so form of the finance. And part of presenting my concern that I thought this was incomplete to discuss it tonight.
And we should say this got big, that's weak.
So anyway, so anyone, I'm sorry, I want to stay on topic of motion. We have a motion on the table and discuss to approve site plan as presented.
To go all the way back. again.
And we have a motion for Pat, we have a second from Josh. Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion to approve the site plan as presented for Z 21-092, respond by saying aye. Opposed? Opposed. Split vote. I want to do a roll call again, just so we have the numbers correct for Jess. Josh? Aye. Aye. Pete says aye.
Aye.
Correct. Thank you, Bob.
Commission.
I'm sorry, we're in the middle. I'm sorry.
We have to give you guys a chance to go back and review the drawings. We'll come back to the next meeting. I don't want to do that to you guys. We've been treated so well for 20 years. I don't want to see this commission split up. So I don't want to confuse this, but
That's good. This is.
I'm going to vote no.
Votes. Dan Wall.
Sorry, Dave, just give me the motion one more time, please.
Not a problem. Thank you for asking if you weren't sure. The application is Z 21-092 to approve the application as presented.
I'm gonna vote aye.
The chairman is going to vote no, and it's not personal, it's because I really do believe that we have a due diligence to be able to fact just to match it up. And I appreciate you were saying I couldn't consider it during the roll call, so I mean, it's not.
I understand.
Okay. But the motion for 621-092 does pass by a vote of 4-3. What do my roll call?
Yeah.
You got that, Jess? Okay. And you recorded my vote as, I recorded your vote as opposed.
Which meant
Yes.
That you were opposed to this. You're opposed to the second.
right.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we can roll with it, yeah, but, okay. Let's do the second.
The second one is 621-096. So this is the motion, this is what was approved in 2014, modified in 2016, and then now reverting back to,
I will just, it was Donut Crazy. This is like a use permit, Z21096.
Statement of use.
for the drive.
Right, it's for the donut place, so it has a different name and all that, and that information is
Same use.
justified.
Same use.
Yeah, same thing. I'm just saying, different,
Same use.
same building, same use, different name of the tenant.
2014.
16.
16,
Always the same use on the corner.
okay.
I'm not even sure why we're even asking for this vote, because it's the same use.
Because you're turning the building, right?
But that,
You're
it's just,
turning the building.
that's all we're doing, so I'm not even sure.
This
why-
is the tenant, this is the tenant.
Oh, the tenant use.
This is a statement
Yeah.
used by the tenant showing how many employees, you know.
You have tenants for these others?
No.
So for Z21096, this is a statement of use for a driveway, which was approved previously in 2014 or 2016.
And the ketchup thing.
And conceptual. Any comments, discussion on Z21-096? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve Z21-096, statement of use for a driveway. That made the motion.
Second.
Second from Keith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Dan, we got you. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. So Z21-96 is carried, is done, that was by 7-0.
Gotcha.
You have-
Okay, you know, Tom, we can, before us, we can, in the middle of the motion, the applicant had offered to allow us the time to review, not to send them to the engineer, but for us to withdraw.
It was during the, it was during the roll call.
Yeah, that's correct. And that's why I voted no.
I personally don't see the benefit of, I'm not an engineer, I'm not gonna go over these plans. Master plan.
That's your guys' prerogative. Okay, here's the thing. The parking plan is a text document. It was a bound text document.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, it was an engraved cover.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That it outlines the whole thing in text. Everyone looking at the drawings, it's a text document. So, you know, the applicant was going to give us the time to review those documents. You know, and, you know, yeah,
How would we go about each individual member would go and review them, we discuss it? Because we operate as a board of the body. So, you know, to actually go through, it would have been nice to have it in front of us
Yeah, but I think that was important to, why we're not really part of this application, so it doesn't fall to the applicant to supply us another copy of something we already have on file.
Well, no, for us to approve the site plan under the text that they submitted, that's when we need to make sure that there's compliance with all those different aspects of the conceptual plan, and that this fits in it. Yeah, all due respect, in 2014, I don't remember what we approved. I thought that the job was good, personally. I remember when the driveway was, the driveway.
But I don't
Yeah, so.
How would you like, here's,
Like-
here's our concern. We want to address yours. We know of no parking issues. Our office is there. If,
I don't think there is any.
John, let me just, can I just finish?
No, no, no.
I don't, but I want to address yours. I want to address yours,
That's fine. Let me just, I don't think there is a parking issue,
right?
but people are complaining about it. So we need to say, we've addressed the parking issue.
Yes,
So
understand.
now when they complain about it again, I'll say, it came up, we had one piece of paper we approved.
What do you want? We went to our engineer and had him write a memo about the parking. You have a memo recently. I can't, we submitted.
I do not have that memo.
Okay. We went to our engineer and said, there's some concerns. We sent him the letters from both your building inspector and your fire marshal. He replied with a memo, which was a week, 2 weeks ago.
7/21.
And so with all due respect, and I'm operating as if you've seen that memo. We will do what you need to have to make yourselves comfortable. If you need to have more from that he, in his memo, he said.
May make a suggestion. There was a memo for Carl O'Brien, who's their engineer, which details some of the parking issues. It may be appropriate because we have some new members of the commission. Some of our memories aren't what they used to be. It's very general, we used to remember everything, but you think like me, I can't remember stuff. What might be helpful is invite boardwalk and just kind of go over where they are, because it's a long-term project. And it's going on, and I think everyone on the commission says it's a great project. And I watched poor Brad struggle with his role, and I don't want any of you guys to, it might be helpful to come in and say, this is where we are,
Yeah.
and this is our next, just take your time to.
So attorney, yes, yeah.
Give us the prior approvals.
But can we do this more, John, and let's, us come in and talk to you and present to you where we're at. We'll refresh the parking, we're not gonna change it, but we can now the guy's in Houston. So please understand, the engineer that was on this project for years is now in office. But he still handles everything, so he can do it virtually. But we can talk to you about where the entire concept plan is and where we are to date. And how that parking plan ties in.
I envision, we come in 2 years from now and we have another change, we're changing a little bit. Now everyone has an understanding where it's at. And I would like to know where it's at, and everyone would, everyone feel comfortable saying, this is what we're doing this for.
Let's take that again, I think it's gonna be, let's talk about that. Line and trying to, just in interest of tonight, you're so far off that.
But please tell us what you want.
Absolutely.
Because we've come in for decades and been treated with the utmost respect. I'm gonna tell you, this was one of the toughest meetings I've had in coming before you, because you guys have stood before us and hundreds of people. And the process was a lot better than tonight. I don't want that. I want us to be able to come in and you guys have confidence in what we're bringing to you. So tell us what you want. We'll make that happen and explain to you where we are at the project and where the parking and the concept plan is and how all that happens. So we'll very much hear from you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good night, thank you. Good night. And
We need a 5-year. Moving, and I'm gonna have a comment about. Yeah, something I just wanted to- Okay, we're gonna move on to new business now, and Z-21-027A, a 24 referral for Target Lane improvements, the applicant's Clay Lacy, 9 Juliana Drive, Oxford, Connecticut, owner, town of Oxford, 46 Oxford Road. And we have some comments here from Emily and Civil One, but we appeared before us previously. Emily, are you online?
I am. I'm here. I'm here.
Hey, you hung out, good.
I'm here. I'm sorry I couldn't be there tonight. I felt a little under the weather yesterday and this morning and just felt that it might be sort of safest and best option to dial in, but I wish I was there in person. It's nice to see people's faces again.
Well, look, feeling good.
I don't know if it makes any sense for me to even share my screen. Does anybody have the ability to see it if I did, or no? Okay.
No, we do not, unfortunately.
I think you have a packet in front of you. And so, as you may recall, I was actually here back in March for the same type of referral on a different section of Tarby Lane. So, as for background information, Civil One, I'm Emily Jones, professional engineer with Civil One in Woodbury, and we are the civil engineers for Clay Lacy, who is working with the CAA for improvements at the Waterbury Oxford Airport. And there were 2 sites and that they had proposed hangars. And so in March, we were working on Site A, which was close to where the intersection of Tarby Lane meets the airport access road. And now we've sort of moved on to what was originally going to be phase 2, but now they're going to build it concurrently, you know, the whole project at the same time. And it's at the other end of Tarby Lane. It's the north end of Tarby Lane, where Tarby Lane actually terminates. I believe the road used to go through as Christian Street, and then it was realigned. So it doesn't go through anymore. It's Tarby Lane. And we have about 145,000 square foot hangar that is going on to the airport site at that corner, the corner of Juliana Drive and Christian Street. Back in 2017, you may remember PJ Aero LLC proposed a similar site plan, and now it's been taken over by Clay Lacy and modified just a little bit. But the main access for this site is off of Christian Street. There is, however, an ancillary access off of the end of Tarby Lane. And right now, Tarby Lane is broken up. The pavement's broken up, goes down at sort of a steep incline, and then you have to make a very sharp turn to get into the current driveway that's there, and then go very steeply up the hill into the airport property. And so what we're looking to do is improve that corner, put in a proper turnaround for somebody that had to back down there and turn around. There really isn't one right now. Resurface the roadway, regrade it so that we can have a gentler grade in that area and provide better access to the airport site, and also do some drainage improvements over there where there aren't any right now. So if you recall, last time we asked for a positive referral to the Board of Selectmen. For that part of the project, they approved it with the condition that we send it over, that it gets sent to the town engineer, and that we meet all of their recommendations and get an approval from them. So I anticipate that if we went through the same process for this, that, you know, it would be reviewed by the town engineer as well. And everything that I had from March on the other end, I tried to incorporate as many comments as possible into the initial design of this, so that when we do go to Mr. Nasterek's office, there may be less comments. So basically, we're looking for the same sort of thing tonight. I wish I'd included a site plan for what is proposed on the airport property. I realize now that wasn't part of the set and that you can't really see it. But this is sort of, this access drive would be the secondary access to the property. And just as an update overall, we're a little further along in the process than we were back in March. We've obtained approvals from the Army Corps and DEP for water quality certification. So we're currently looking for some permitting from the CAA and the FAA. And then we'll need this permit from the Board of Selectmen for the Tarby Lane improvements. And then we'll need local permits for the driveway entrances and for water and sewer. So that's sort of where we're hitting them right now. We're kind of getting into the local permitting for the whole project. Just want to know, any questions? I'm happy to answer.
Emily, this is Chairman Sarge. Just to, again, just to confirm with you and also just for the commission as well too, in terms of basically what this means, similar to the last time around in March, what we have here we have 35 days to basically take action on this, which is why we need to get the referral to the Board of Selectmen, correct?
Right. Yep.
Right. And what we did to the commission, what we did last time in March was, yes, we have a site plan here which we normally would send to the town engineer, but in the interest of the time, because we are at 35-day limit, we actually had a referral to the selectmen with the recommendation that they send it to the town engineer right there, rather than waiting for us to get something back and then turn around and send it back to the Board of Selectmen. So if we decide to take that, go that particular route, what I would run is a motion to refer this to the Board of Selectmen with recommendation to utilize a town engineer review on their schedule. Yeah. Okay. That's really not, so I mentioned progress. So, okay. So that being said, does anybody in the commission have any comments or questions for Sylvia Wong regarding that?
Emily, this is similar to the last project. It's basically to make the facility safer, provide extra access in that area.
Yes, it's not in great condition right now. And for, the traffic that's anticipated in this driveway in particular is probably traffic coming from another area of the airport. So it's not the main access off of Christian Street, but it still really should be, brought up to snuff, I guess.
Is this also, because this is state-owned property, the actual airport, is there any other regulatory approvals that are required before this construction can occur?
Yeah, so the construction on the airport property itself is on state-owned property, so that's reviewed by the Army Corps and the DEP, and it's not locally, it doesn't go through the local commissions. We are actually planning on going and doing sort of a courtesy visit to the Inland Wetlands Commission, and happy to present to your commission as well at some point. But this particular piece of it is obviously within the town right of way, and is not on state property, and so we will need town permission to do this work.
Any other questions from the commission for Civil One?
Their responsibility.
Right. All right, so we'll entertain a motion.
I move to send a positive referral to the Board of Selectmen. Board of Selectmen have any.
Second. You have a second from that. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you, Danny. Motion carries. Jess, can you take care of getting that? I'm not sure when they're next meeting scheduled, so we can get that to as quickly as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Well said, thank you. still there, Emily?
Yep, I'm next.
Okay, the motion passed, so I think we made a motion, make the referral over to the board of selectmen, so I think we're good here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Not the next one too.
Oh, somebody-
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna hang out for a minute.
Sounds good. Okay, so we had, moving on, Z dash 09-106, lot 11, Woodruff Hill Industrial Park, 62 Program Road. Applicant and owner is Tomsula LLC, 297 White Street, Danbury, with an extension request. And Emily from Civil One is here representing, so Emily, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, thanks. For the record, again, Emily Jones, professional engineer with Civil One in Woodbury. I'm here regarding lot 11, Woodruff Hill Industrial Park. So this lot is actually located in the industrial park, but it's on Prokop Road. And it's about 7 acres in size. And I guess we're here tonight just as for discussion, in July of 2009, if you think way back, an application was submitted to this commission for a proposed industrial building and obviously the associated site improvements, including drainage and parking and utilities. The application was received. There was a fee, about $10,000 fee, and then it was reviewed and approved in September of 2009. So I don't know if anyone remembers 2009, but it was a rough year in the construction industry. So at the time, the applicant and the tenant is Kovacs Construction, who I believe is currently in Oxford. They were unable to complete the proposed improvements and relocate their business to the property. So now they are hoping to do that. And I guess our question is, you know, what's the simplest way to, or how do we go about doing that? You know, there was a state statute that granted extension of site plan approvals for up to 14 years from the approval date for projects in that time frame because of the economic difficulties of the time frame. So if that were to be granted, I guess that could mean that approval could be extended as far out as September 3rd, 2023. You know, obviously Kovacs is looking to build and get into this, you know, yesterday, but I'm here just to discuss it with the commission to see if you know, in your opinion, if you have the authority and the inclination to do such an extension, grant such an extension, or if we have to take another route. So I guess that's, you know, what I'd like to talk about. The plan itself is exactly the same. You know, it's the same building, the same parking, the same owner, and the same use. So there's been no changes to that. I actually went through the storm drainage calculations today. You know, there's been changes to that. So there's been changes to the standards of the rainfall. Everything still works the same as it did then. It's nice to see that the designs withstand the test of time. So, you know, the applicant would like to request an extension, and I don't know if that is what the commission would like to do or able to do, but that's where I'd like to open the floor, you know, to discuss.
Oh, back up to, we can authorize an extension. That's a really perfect solution.
To be requested date, September 3rd.
Yeah. Basically, 2.5 years ago, or 2 years and a couple months out, I think that was the. So in that case.
Any comments?
If I can just inquire, and this is to council, there's an exception for subsection J. This application, that this is strictly a site plan. They can come in as of right under the amended statute, which took effect on that.
Yes.
And request that. Sure.
Yes. So, please.
And to deny it, I mean, you got that.
Yes.
So I think you are correct. It's something that needs to be on the record. As a how it helps.
I'm going to make a motion back to extend Z-09-106 to September 30, 2023, as requested.
Second. Pat made a motion, Commissioner Zubas, seconded it. All those in favor of the motion to extend Z-09-106 to September 3rd, 2023. Start by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Very good. Motion carries unanimously. Emily, I think you are all set.
Thank you so much
Here.
for having me tonight. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. Thanks. Take care. Feel better.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Moving on, is zoning enforcement. None? Okay. Just minutes.
It's gonna say 20 inspections, 20 permits, 2 days of prayer. This is.
Minutes, we have just 7-6?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, move to approve, the minutes from the, July 6th, 2021 meeting as presented.
Second from Brett. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Opposed?
I move to table the minutes from 7/20/2021 for the next meeting. Okay.
For the record, just putting them on their placeholders. That's right.
Okay.
Okay, no invoices. Other business, I have one comment, and I'll hold off on that. Any updates?
The only update is just to vote on.
Just for other business, very quickly. We had talked about this before with the omnibus act with zoning. I originally said there's an opt-in provision. Further review, there's an opt-out provision that is required. So that's subsection, section 6F, which requires us to hold a public hearing. So I think we should, everyone should start looking at that and kind of getting an idea of what we want to do. But if the commission does want to move forward with that opt-out or not, we have to be cognizant of the timelines of the statute.
Yes, to move forward.
Yeah, I'll send it out.
Yeah.
Because I have the ones the board selecting after.
Yeah. This one requires us a 2/3 majority. Without. Yeah, we have to do a public hearing. It's a plays away.
We have time.
Yeah.
We have time. It's sort of something that we should consider.
Start putting it on the radar.
Yeah. Get the information out in our next meeting, maybe some public hearing.
Yeah.
Get it over with.
Get some comments from the community.
We'll have it at the public hearing.
Yeah, but I mean, that's.
First selectman wanted to jump in one part. No, thank you
On the land use cornerstone, the application is denied. Oh, okay. So it's denied without prejudice, so they come back promptly for that. The planning and zoning received report off that, even though there's no need for layout by statute, the reports is saying it's denied to that.
I don't have any updates regarding the planning and zoning policy and procedures with you. Yep, I have to take that part of it. I know that came up. So I'm gonna take care of that. The only other comment I wanted to bring up, and Dan, you're still on the call, correct?
Yes, sir, I'm here. I'm here.
All right, that's what I want to make sure you're still here. Regarding tonight's conversation and deliberations regarding the quarry wall, I just want the record to let everyone know. I thought the applications when they came in were piecemeal, and I thought that they were not complete enough for us to be able to have a deliberation and go through it. And I was prepared and actually just started to entertain a motion to amend the agenda so that we would not be talking about them tonight. And this falls on the chairman's responsibility. I decided, I opted out for conversation, council conversation outside the hallway, and we let it proceed, and I regret it. We weren't ready to have that, and the conversation deteriorated into the way that it probably shouldn't have. And I think we lost track of bringing up valid points, but I think the sidetrack and derailed from what was actually here in front of us. And I'm going to be holding the agenda to a higher standard in terms of what's going on the agenda. If I'm not satisfied with it, it's not going to be on the agenda. And that's going to be one of my responsibilities. I shouldn't have let myself get called out. And that's fine. I thought we were doing it for the right thing, but it should have stuck to it in this particular case. I just want to make sure everybody is aware with it. And just in terms of how that works, and Jess, I know we had some earlier conversations as well too, just so everybody is aware. I've already told Jess she's the gatekeeper for the agenda. So she will have first pass on any applications, anything that's going to be on there. And then that's going to, and I'm going to hold her accountable in terms of what comes to me. So if you folks, anybody here wants to put something on the agenda, Jess, your feet to the fire, you know that we talked about it. And I think that's the way it is. We shouldn't be here late trying to figure out applications. So I just wanted to throw that out there before. Steve, you got a question?
No, I'm just gonna say I'm partially at fault for that, so it's both, I feel it's both our. I give them everything first, so we know we get them. You know, we want to email them to you right away.
No. Jess is the gatekeeper. Okay. And Jess gets a draft of the agenda and all the materials to me on the cutoff on Tuesday nights, because we are doing everything 1 week in advance. On Wednesday, Jess and I had a conference call, we discussed the agenda, and I'll bring up any concerns that I have regarding it. But at that point on Tuesday night, that agenda is closed. We're not accepting any new applications to go on there, because I want Frankfurt's permission to have the materials to be able to kind of review it, which, again, to my point tonight, parking notwithstanding, we didn't have the materials just to be able to go through the second that was in front of us. So Jess will do that, and it should be filed on this.
Is no one has to put the option. Maybe we should have had the materials to the file here, so that we could have did those comparisons.
I'm sorry, every other site plan application, they have handed in, they've handed in a letter from Kyle, a complete application with Tom Haynes' signature, a packet like this, but usually much bigger, color. We've had updated parking management plans. So I think that you guys were just asking for something, and I'm really disappointed because you made a motion with absolutely no conditions. There's no conditions on that approval that you did. Zero. It doesn't go back to any of the previous approvals.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's up to the
I'm
applicant.
sorry, I shouldn't have said anything.
It's up to the applicant to submit.
So you guys know, Richie Benelli came in, I kicked it back. The captain came in again, and then Richie came in with another one, so it happened 3 times on the same application because of lack of detail. And I guess maybe I laid back and said, well, okay, you're switching the foundation, here's the use permit, here's the foundation permit, it's approved, but you're right, we have a current map of all the new buildings, and then we'll just give everybody a copy of that wall and come in so you can see what's going where.
When I noticed that the last time they were before us, we were complaining about how happenstance, the applications are just come over with a piece of paper and then they get indebted, and you don't bend over and grant them that. So it's like,
No, I
it's wasn't a surprise.
I just want, I want to go on the record in terms of making sure everybody understands what the procedures are for getting something on the agenda, so that the standards are going to be because the information should not, this commission should not be running back the files that should all be included in here. So if this was not included in the form of materials, then it should have been. It should have been.
And I might add that Mr. Haynes arrived with a file, and I asked him about, the safety issue. Well, we can express that to the commission, so that's why we can express it to the commission. But it is on the applicant to provide the information. If the parking plan is something that's, it should be provided by the applicant. It's not on you guys.
But if we get more clear, the parking plan would be part of the discussion for tonight's application. The overall parking plan, how would you know that?
He should have, considering what was on the agenda the last time, and then they admitted that they knew about those letters and complaints.
Yeah, well, why would
Make
they
it easier for us, there's an issue about parking, show us what you're addressing.
Okay, but isn't that a separate issue than the site plan for this little coffee shop?
Once,
I believe it is.
I don't, because we have, now, without any conditions, we can't say we can look at it, so if someone comes in and complains again, all right? There are components, there's a master site plan, there's a master parking plan. I don't want to be the one to review it, but I would, at the very least, like to have done it tonight.
And I think the suggestion I make, having, this is going to be an ongoing project. And it changes. Have an agreement, and let's just make up the 7 years into the project, it's going to go on forever. So it's not a bad thing that if we get an opportunity to be careful. And that way, when they do come in with an application, and even if they hand you the whole site plan and the whole idea of the searching, you can at least have an idea of knowledge. And you can ask intelligent questions. It's hard to do that when you say, okay, it's just going to be a coffee shop in the drive-thru. It's easy. And then just flip it around. In their minds, we're not doing anything different than what they had before. That's how they were looking at it. They sort of softening with you with less information.
Yeah, and I don't think it's fair to the commission, if they could have just, we just changed it, so we want to approve. No, I don't want us to do an application. We have a job.
So that I just wanted to kind of fill that. Anything else as to what any topics? Hearing none, entertain a motion to adjourn. Brett, second. Second. Josh, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I'm supposed to.
And by the way, I noticed in the recording, everybody posting the fact that the meeting.
Hi, guys. Hi, Dan.
But I kind of like. Sorry, Brian.
Goodbye.
Oh, good night.
Good night.